Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And good evening, Buffaloes Nation. Welcome into another edition of the Buffaloes podcast here on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. I'm your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. This edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as always, brought to you by Terraco, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, and Goaltenders. As always, Goaltenders owner and Gordie Tumilson will be joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. But before we bring in Gordie, I'm going to be talking to three European players, as you'll be getting to see them coming up next. Had a great chance to get to know Matthias as well as John and Michael from the U18 male prep Buffaloes. Had a chance to ask them about, what the journey's been like, coming over here from their home countries in Czechia and Slovakia, and how they've really been enjoying the experience so far up until this point. Before we get you into that interview, though, with those three Euro players, just want to take you through what's coming up to start off this week for all teams in the academy and how their weekends are going to be ending. The male U15 Prep Buffaloes going to be heading off to Thunder Bay to play in a tournament against teams like the Adena Hornets, teams from the States as well, as you can see there, depending on how they do. They'll be playing on Sunday, to be determined on the 16th. Those can all be seen on Live Barn. As for the male U17's one game, as they'll be in action on Valentine's Day to take on the Indigenous Sports Academy Eagles. That rivalry renewing itself for yet another game. Coverage can be seen on Flow Sports. As for the female U18 Prep Buffalo as well, they're going to have a busy end to their week as we can see here. Already been a busy week for the female U18 prep buffs as they started off yesterday in the morning playing against Saha, taking on some more challenging teams the rest of the way this week. They took on Ed School, or taking on Ed School right now. Currently, as we speak, that game just starting. So we'll keep you up to date with how that game is going if we can find a score. As for the male U18 Prep Buffaloes, they'll be heading over to Saskatchewan and then coming back home to Pilot Mountain to take on RHA Winnipeg coming up this Sunday. Starting off with ISA on the Friday on the 14th. That coverage can be seen on Flow Sports. As for the U18 male prep buffs, I'm going to be welcoming on 3 European players coming up next. And John, Michael, and Matthias all joining the show next year on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. And we got 3 European players joining this edition of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast, the Buffaloes podcast here on G Show Productions. In Matthias on my left, in the middle, Michael, and on the right, John. Boys, thanks for taking the time and joining this edition of the Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast. You boys coming all the way from Europe. I guess I'll start off with, it doesn't matter who really starts, but what made you boys decide to come all the way down to small town Pilot Mound, Manitoba to continue your development in your hockey careers?
I can start. Um, I get tagged by my coach Flo, and he told me that there will be all new team from from all the world, and uh, he told me that I saw history from Mall in the hockey, and it was not that good, but he told me that this year will be like changing, and I think it's happening.
No, for sure. For yourself, Michael, and then John, you can answer next.
So last year I played in Canada. I played AAA with 17 in Winnipeg, and I wanted to kind of like make a bigger step. I want to go play in a better league, and I think it was about March last year. I came out here to skate with a team, and Flo liked me, our coach. So, like he asked me if I wanted to sign, and I said like, sure, I like the place. So I decided I want to stay, continue to develop my game here in Canada, hockey wise, and I want to like finish school and graduate from high school here. So that's why I decided to come here to Wild Mountains, and I think this year wasn't really good so far as a team, but it's starting to get better now. So
Right, right. No, for sure. Both excellent answers so far for yourself, John.
Yeah, like last season I was playing Czechia. I was trying to get like a bigger challenge to go maybe overseas, which I actually got. I was trying to find something in US, Canada. I decided for Pilot Mountain because I like the idea of small city. I like the program because we have all new team from last season except for 3 players.
Right.
It's good league, and I decided that could be a good choice.
No, yeah, for sure. And crazy, seeing where you're all from. Of course, Michael coming from Slovakia, you two coming from Czechia. What's that been like, being able to, I guess, having that in common, knowing that you're coming from abroad to continue on with this dream of continuing to better and develop in your hockey careers.
So I think I just live my dream every day to be able to play in Canada in the one of the best U18 leagues in the world. So like that's for me, it's just a living a dream every day, and every day I just trying to get better and take advantage of this opportunity to be able to go and play juniors at the next level. So that's how I look at this opportunity.
For you, John.
Yeah, like same for me. Like it's been my dream. It's my dream to get with hockey somewhere to play on a high level. The Pilot Mount, the CCHL is one of the biggest step I made so far. It's so nice to be in Canada. I like it here. It's fun. It's challenging. It's great here.
Oh, right on. We'll expand on that in just a moment. But Matthias, for you, I mean, to come over here and, knowing that there's some comfort in terms of knowing that there's also players coming from Europe playing down here in Pilot Mountain. What's that been like to bond with, these two in that way? And I also saw someone else on the roster coming from Sweden this year.
I came here because of to learn the English and uh, like the on the first place I have school. Well, definitely I go here only because of the hockey, but my family, my parents told me that they want me to study here because when you know more languages, uh, you have more open doors whenever you go, and yeah.
What's that been like, getting to, I guess, get more comfortable, more used to the English, as the season's been going along, as you've been getting more accustomed to the lifestyle down here in Manitoba?
Um, I talk a lot with boys. I'm trying to uh, not stay standing on the side, but be in the collective and always be with the boys and just communicate with them. And um, on the grammatic side is like it's helping me the school. Well, yeah, I don't know what to say.
No worries. Hopefully, for yourself, you're getting what you're wanting out of that side of things in terms of trying to learn and understand the English language better for myself. Of course, that being my first language. I also went to French immersion school growing up, so learn another language in itself, that's completely different from the one you speak naturally as your first language is definitely tough for sure. I can sort of relate to that in a certain way. But going back to you, John, for you to be playing here in Pilot Mountain, Manitoba, you spoke about how, you've been enjoying your time down here, just loving what the environment has brought, basically. What's been your favorite part so far, specifically about small town Pilot Mountain in general this year? Is there something specific that, you love about the province, the city in general?
Yeah, like it's hard to tell. It's like not one thing. It's like more like everything about. It's like everything. No, everyone is no. Everyone knows everyone. It's like there is no strangers. There is basically it's small community, so there's not bad people. Uh, I like that the school is small, so we don't have like the teachers can be individual with us. I like the academy is like the one of the main things with what is going here. So not on every game, there's a lot of people watching us. It's like it's real nice to be here. It's like it feels like the community is with us, like with whole academy. And
Right, right. And I think that's huge, right? To know that, you're not just another person. You're valued in a smaller community more so. There's more attention put on you and the rest of the group of players. Has that helped as well? You know, coming all the way over from your home country down here to Pilot Mound, Manitoba, knowing that you've been able to have that comfort and that great support system all around.
Oh yeah, I'm a little bit shy. I don't like much attention, but I think yeah, it helps. It helps. It's not like that. I don't want it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty nice to feel the attention. Pretty nice to see the people on the stands and the games.
Oh, for sure. And great to have that type of energy in this type of environment, and a whole new experience for yourself this season. For yourself, Michael, like you talked about, this has been a big goal of yours to be able to play in this type of division at this type of level in the CSSHL. What's it been like for you this season going up against the competition that you've been able to face in this league specifically?
I think like the good thing about this league is like all the players against who we play are the one of the best players in our age group. So all of the games are challenging, and every game and every shift when you have opportunity to play against the best players, it just kind of making you a better player every shift. So I'm happy that I can compete against the best, and in the end, this makes me a better version of myself. So I'm glad that I can compete against the best players in my age.
Yeah, and for you three, just taking a look at the positions, of course, that you play, all defensemen. Just take me through what's that been like, being able to, or I guess I'll rephrase the question. I guess rather, how would you all describe yourselves as a defenseman out there in terms of if I were to tune into a game as a fan that's never seen you play before, what they can expect see when they come to see Matthias, Michael, and John play for Pilot Mound. We'll
Mm,
start off with Matthias, I guess, and then whoever else wants to answer after can. But we'll go through all three of you for this one.
um, you can expect I don't know how to say. Wait a little bit. Um, yeah, you can
Well,
see.
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you can expect physical hockey. You can expect fast hockey. It will be. Uh, I don't know what to say about it.
Well, I mean, taking a look at the points that you've been able to put up, I mean, there's a lot of offense that you bring to your game as a defenseman. I mean, 28 points in 30 games played. You've been able to find your teammates at a high level with 25 assists. Have you always been a good passer in the sense that you have good vision out there on the ice when you're able to find your teammates at a high level in the offensive zone?
My, I think biggest plus because I'm trying to be the playmaker, and when I see some opportunity to uh, pass, that I will make it. Um, when we will go like to break out, not to break.
You're a good transition passer.
Yeah, yeah. Transition pass, we can. I can pass like perfectly, and
Right. What's your favorite pass that you like to make out there? Is it those stretch passes, maybe a saucer pass, bank off the boards, or maybe it's something I haven't even mentioned?
um, I like to pass in cross ice to open net. When I'm passing from the blue line in offensive zone, and yeah, that's my pretty most likely.
Yeah, and I'm sure that one is set up a few goals this season as well with I'm sure some of those passes have been included in those 25 assists. For yourself, Michael, how would you describe yourself as a defenseman? Taking a look at the points you haven't put up, many of them, would you describe yourself as more of that shutdown, steady type of defenseman?
Yeah, I would describe myself as a physical defenseman who is trying to win the corner battles for my teammates. Teammates get the pucks for my teammates from the corner battles, trying to move the pucks quickly, trying to box out the players in front of the net. So I would describe myself as a defensive defenseman and a penalty kill guy who kills the penalties. So that's how I would describe myself, more of a defensive defenseman than an offensive defenseman. But of course, I can go and support the offense when I get a puck. I can get it to the net and create a rebounds for my teammates. So this is how I describe myself.
All right, on. There's a bit of everything in your game, right? And highlighting that is that good, steady defensive physical ability that you have, Michael. For you, John, how would you describe yourself as a player?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to get backs from our zone to pass it to someone who is going for a breakout to pass it to someone who is in better position from from behind our net to try to collect the pucks from opposing team when they are attacking, trying to make the play to develop our uh, offense. Um, for last month, maybe I'm trying to be more offensive to make the first pass and go for the puck, go for the attack. I don't have that many points, but I think if there will be counts third passes, I will have a lot more.
No, for sure. You're the one that's kind of quarterbacking from his own end and starting off the play and leading to those scoring chances when you've been on the ice this season. Before we finish off by talking about, just the upcoming games for the rest of the way this year. Of course, you boys coming a long way from home to play in small town Pilot Mountain. I know for you, Michael, you talked about how you had a chance to play in the AAA League in Winnipeg last year. But yeah, just give a shout out to, I guess, your folks at home, those who may be watching this. And yeah, it doesn't have to be that long, but just, yeah, say hi to, I guess, the folks at home. Doesn't matter who starts.
I can start. So I would like to thank to my parents for the opportunity that I can be here. They are a huge part and reason why I'm here. I would like to thank you all my family for the support because I don't think I would be able to do it without them. And I would like to say hi to my best friend Alex back home, and you know that's it. I just thank you for all the support that you're giving me. I couldn't do it without you guys.
Right on. Love it for you, John.
Well, I like to thank my parents too. They are the ones which made which because it's possible to be here. They are the ones which is most supporting me with my girlfriend, also my grandmothers, my granddad. I like to, my siblings. I thank them for their support and for believing in me.
Right
And
on, right on. Family, significant other, all the above, very important to have that in the support system for sure. Matthias, for yourself, a shout out to the folks at home.
I would love to thank my family too, as well. And I think something what was for me impossible now is possible, and without them, I will can't play hockey like this and live my dream. And um, yeah, I can't wait to see them.
Yeah. And would be amazing for them to, of course, come down and get a chance to watch you play in action as well as the rest of you boys. But it's great that streaming is an option, so they can watch it from the comfort of their seats back home. In terms of before we get into the final part of this interview, coming down here, getting to meet new friends, is there a person in particular for all three of you individually that you've been able to bond with the most this year? I will start with for you, John. Have you had a chance to, of course, you've had a chance to make a ton of friends, but has there been anyone in particular that you've met this year, specifically on this team, that you've had a chance to bond a lot with?
Like there is there's chance to bond a lot with everybody. There is not a single bad person. There's everybody's nice. It's like not a huge problems, of course. Like we are here we are here with ourselves like every day, every minute. So there is some problems, but it's like you're friends with everybody. There's maybe uh, I don't know. I can say like Leo is like somebody who I'm talking to with most maybe, but it's not like somebody there's which I don't talk to. Don't.
Right, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely great that you've been able to get along with everybody on the team this year. For you, Michael, and for you, Matthias, I'll get Michael to start, I guess. I guess you have the same type of feeling as John that you've been able to bond with everybody pretty equally.
Yes, I think I have a pretty good relation with everyone, but I think there are like two guys with who I bond a little bit more than other teammates, and those are Austin Polnoski and Brendan Reeve. With those two guys, I think I have like a little bit more and better relationship slash like friendship with them. So like we hang out a little bit more than with other guys. So yeah, I think those are the two guys with who I bond a little bit more than with other guys.
Yeah, right on. And that's great that you've been able to have a chance to bond with those two, specifically those two that have been here before and have played in this program, knowing the ups and downs of this league. For you, Matthias, anyone in particular, is it kind of like John, where it's been kind of getting along with everybody on the team?
I had the chance to went over Christmas to Nashville with my friend Trav. Um,
Awesome.
the experience it was all over different than in Czech where I'm from, and yeah, and I think with all of the boys have good relationship or friendship, and mm, I don't think we have some enemies here. Like sometimes we have like voice problems, but uh, it's for some seconds, and then we just go play. I don't know, pool or something like that. And,
Yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, there's been struggles this season where there's been a lot of games where this team hasn't been able to come out with that outcome, which, I mean, you three would obviously hope it's a win. I think every single hockey player in team does, right? But yeah, fantastic. Before we move on to this question for you, Matthias, that you had a chance to go down to Nashville. Have never had a chance to go, but I'm sure it was a lot of fun getting to experience, like you said, someplace that's even more different than your home country back in Czechia. But for the upcoming games, only a few left in this season before the playoffs are coming up. This team, of course, has had a chance to win some games this season, but there's been a lot of losses in there, some downs this season. How is this team, I guess, looking to prepare to bring their best moving forward this season in the remaining games? Doesn't matter who starts off by answering this one. Your boy's choice.
Okay.
um,
Okay. So like there's like we had a chance in every game. We was winning a lot of games by one or two goals. Second period, third period, we couldn't manage our leading, and there was chance in every game. Like in the past, like there is maybe one or two games which we had really bad, which we didn't even get a chance. Like we get the chance, but we didn't manage to build on that chance.
For you, Michael, your thoughts ahead of the remaining games in this regular season leading up to the playoffs this year?
The biggest thing for us as a team moving forward to the upcoming season games will be probably to stick our gameplay, which we'll set before the game, and trying to play whole 60 minutes as a team and stick to the game plan. That I think would be like the huge thing for us. If we'll be able to do this thing, we'll be able to win those upcoming hockey games and we'll be successful in the playoffs then. So I think this is the thing on which we need to focus in upcoming games. And yeah, this is the thing we need to get better in as a team.
Right on. You know, I'm gonna actually ask Matthias a different question than you two, and then one of you two can answer this coming up as well. But Matthias, with you being in your last season of being able to play in this league, being an '07 born player, what are I guess you hoping to improve on in your game before you hit that potential next level of hockey in your career, which may be university or the junior level, whichever path you may end up taking. But yeah, I guess what you're looking to improve on before then as this season comes to an end.
Mm, hard question. It's a lot of things, but the most thing I have to improve in, it's probably uh, the puck play, probably the offensive zone to get some more skills to be able to do some more moves and open um, some score situation. But yeah, that's I will say offense.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something that's definitely valid for sure. Given your stats too, as you're just under a point per game in total games played this season. Um, I'll ask the same question for both Michael and John here as we make our way to the end of this interview, which has gone on a bit longer than originally planned. But with you two both being '07 born players and coming over here to Canada to play in Pilot Mountain to, of course, look to improve, I'm assuming your opportunity to get visibility and to get to that next level. What's the plan for you two? Like I said, either one of you can answer this to start off, but the plan for, I guess, future in hockey after Pilot Mount.
So like my plan is to go play junior for a year or two. I have like some leagues where I would like to go. It's like BCHL, NHL, or USHL for next league. And after a year or two in that league, I would like to go play college, NCAA Division One. So those are like my upcoming goals for upcoming like 3 years, 3 to 4 years.
Right on, right on. I think that's a smart direction to take it in, and there's been a lot of great players that have come from those leagues and have played in it that have gone on to have some pretty good careers. For you, John, the plans, the goals after this, because I assume you're not done just here in Pilot Mountain. This isn't the end of your career after this, is it?
Uh, Next step is like I actually don't know the next step. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the end where I end. I want to end somewhere in pro hockey, some good leagues, some it's like uh, next year I want to play juniors, everybody, but I have no idea where.
Right.
Probably Canada, probably in Europe. I have no idea where's my next steps.
Yeah, and hey, that's okay. I mean, you got to remember, you boys are still really young. I mean, I got about 5, 6 years over you, and I'd like to still consider myself young, being 23. So, I mean, the talent will prove itself, and I mean, it seems like you got a lot of it, and hoping you the best, of course, in your future in your hockey career. I was advised to. Ask about this at some point in the episode, and we're gonna end off with it. But of course, as you boys know, I made you, say hi to the folks at home. Gordie Tumilson, the goaltending coach, has really stressed it that he wants me to ask you to say something in your native language back to the folks at home. So we'll end off with that. Doesn't matter who starts. It could be John, Matthias, or Michael.
Say hi to the people at home.
Takže ahojte, chcel by som povedať ahoj mojim rodičom, mojim kamarátom a chcel by som sa poďakovať všetkým za túto úžasnú možnosť, že môžem byť tu v Kanade druhý rok a je to proste neuveriteľné, že ako mám možno tuto hrať a vážim si toho každý deň a každý deň sa snažím byť lepší a ďakujem a bez toho, že som to nedokázal.
Right on.
Já jsem tak. Já bych chtěl poděkovat samozřejmě rodičům, protože ty byly pro mě jednou z největších podporou s mojí přítelkyní. Chtěl bych poděkovat mojim sourozencům, bráchovi a ségře, mojim babičkám a i dědovi, kteří se mnou byli, ptali se, podporovali mě. Bez nich to bylo samozřejmě těžší tady být.
Beautiful.
Tak jako bych poděkoval naší rodině, která mi tohle umožnila, tuhle cestu. A budu doufat, že v následujících letech to teda dotáhnu tam, kde byl můj cíl.
And there you have it. Matthias Masek. Just taking a look, trying to pronounce the names as best as possible here. That's why I've been avoiding saying them, but I think it's only right to say their last names as well. Yeah. Matthias Masek, John Kozel, and Michael Sukup joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. It was great to get to know them a bit, to get some insight into why they chose to come over to small town Pilot Mountain to continue their playing careers. I think that all in all, they got similar goals, but all a bit different things bringing them here and leading them to Pilot Mountain to play for this U18 Male Prep Buffs team this season. And I think that that's a beautiful part of sports, and this instance is that different paths can lead to a situation like this where these three are having the time of their lives right now, playing with their Buffaloes teammates and donning a Buffalo sweater as well. Speaking of donning sweaters, NHL players donning Canadian sweaters for the first time in like a decade tonight, or almost a decade since they've last played international hockey. That's very exciting. We're going to continue along with the Buffaloes podcast, though. Coming up next, Gordie Tumilson is going to be joining this edition of the podcast, where we're going to be talking about the upcoming games a bit for all four teams in the academy, as well as the past weekend of games, as well as how the vibes are around the academy right now, and a bit about talking about what it's like being a coach at this time of the year. All coming up on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. First, a word from one of our sponsors, and then Gordie Tumilson joining the show next. Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, McCann Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Gordie, we're going to be getting into talking about, of course, all the teams that were in action here on this edition of our show, as always. But now with exams in the rearview mirror, with playoffs coming up before we know it next month in March, what's the vibes been down in Pilot Mountain from what you've heard? I know you're unable to, or you don't make it down there at all or as often anymore. But from what you're hearing, things picking up in intensity, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, everybody's they're freaking keen to get the season over with and, plugging away, doing all this stuff. And preparation's high and they're going and they're getting ready for playoffs. And you know what? The fact that I don't get there doesn't even really matter anymore. I talk to the kids all the time. I'm certainly talking to the goalie kids all the time, and then others that I know, of course, and then the coaches. We had a big coaches meeting last night for what was supposed to be about half an hour, was about an hour and a half. Lots of good stuff. Like people are fired up and keen. Well, and one of the neat parts that come out of there is that from that meeting, and you never know what you're going to hear, but my understanding from the comments from all of our coaches is that we have a wonderful group of 80 kids, almost perfectly behaved all season long. He said, like 5 years ago, there were problems and, you're getting kids from all over. Now that we vet these kids and, our principal, Nathan Ramage, does a great job of doing that and the school does that. We get good kids. Sometimes they're not the best hockey players, but we get great kids, and that's a bigger part of our program than maybe the hockey is. The kids get better at hockey. We know that.
Yeah.
But they're not disturbed by crazy people. So we don't have those issues anymore, and it's really wonderful. We're not talking about those things. We're talking about honor students and kids that are growing, going to be going to college, and every kid has got a chance and all of those things. So, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, that's what we're there for. It's for the kids, and they're getting along. Good stuff.
Yeah, and that's great to hear, right? And at the end of the day, it's producing student athletes, and it's great to hear that these are wonderful kids, inside, outside the classroom that Pilot Mountain's been bringing in. You mentioned, the busyness, of everything happening right now. How fired up these coaches are, but you got playoffs coming up, of course, the end of this regular season. Some coaches, of course, stay in the dorms and act as dorm parents, and then there's the recruiting side of things too, and looking ahead to next season and all these distractions. So from a coach's perspective, Gordie, give a little insight in terms of how they deal with the pressure, similar to players maybe.
Wow, the coaches are going. It's it's never ending. I mean, a couple of our guys work in the school. Rick McConnell works in the school for sure. I know that, and yeah, we've got dorm parent people, and Ryan Carls owns 600 cattle, and Danny and Ryan Carls, who coach, have 600 cattle, and apparently cattle have attitude. So. I don't know. I mean, it's a pleasure to come to the rink because the girls and the boys don't have as much attitude as the 600 cattle or cows. I have no idea. So yeah, so they're busy and of course they're constantly doing things for the players and with the players. And in their off hours while the kids are at school, they're doing other things that are helping us get move forward. And so it is a busy, busy, busy time for everybody all the time. I guess we get our money's worth on the coaches and whatnot. So good on everybody to be pulling in the same direction. We've talked. There's a Team Canada thing going on in politics. Well, we've got Team Pilot Mound, and we're pulling in one direction. I'll tell you. There you go.
Well, there you go. You love to hear it when it's all coming together and things moving swiftly in one direction, as you said, Gordy. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hockey still left to be played in this season, specifically for the U18 female prep Buffaloes, Gordy. They were in action twice this past weekend. They're going to be busy in these next 5 days coming up. Of course, they played this morning already. They're going to be playing four straight games in the next 4 days. Yeah, take me through, the most recent happenings with this U18 female prep team their past weekend and this morning. And yeah, we'll start with that.
Sure. The girls had a pretty nice weekend. Two organizations that have been around forever, St. Mary's and Balmoral in Winnipeg. Our guys challenged them, and we came up on the short end, 3-2 and 4-1. But at the end of the day, we're inching closer to the top echelon of those kinds of teams that are out there and have been around for a long time in the history of academy type hockey in Western Canada. Today we played Saha in Calgary, and they got after the game. The kids got on the bus and headed to Edmonton. They got 3 games, 3 or 4 games in Edmonton. No, I was there in Medicine Hat today. They're moving over to Calgary for tomorrow, and then to Edmonton for 3 games, and then home on Saturday night from Sunday whenever they get up back home. So a busy week for these guys, and it's great to showcase the kids, show their talent, see how they can handle a lot of hockey in a short period of time. The girls are really excited about it. I know the goalies were because there's lots of games and they love playing in the games. And so yeah, we're looking forward to seeing some more improvement as we move along towards the end of the week.
Yeah, and I think this is a great time to grow as a player, right? Maybe some players haven't played this much hockey in this short amount of time. Of course, the girls that were here last year are used to this a bit now at this point, Gordy. But yeah, I mean, they went up against the second ranked team in the league, right? And were able to get three on them in Saha this
Yep.
morning. And like you spoke about, I mean, two close games against St. Mary's Academy and Balmoral Hall. They take Balmoral to overtime against St. Mary's, 3-0 deficit in that first period, making it tough for them to come back. But as the season's gone along, this team continuing to challenge teams in the CSSHL, it looks like, after, showing some good results the weekend before in the Female World Sports School Challenge. So I'm sure that, like you talked about, everyone plays in the academy with these 80 kids, but this group specifically, this coaching staff must be pleased with how this group has been able to bounce back a bit, even though the wins haven't been there.
Absolutely. They sometimes continue to amaze, and that's a good thing. It's tough. You're not winning. You're playing close, but you're not getting the breaks. And whatever the deal is, you're playing really good teams and exceptional teams, to be quite honest with you, almost Team Canada type like teams, and so they're getting better, and they're building fortitude, they're building experience, they're building all of those kinds of good habits and good things that has them trudge on, even though there might not be the most positive stuff going on around them. They're hanging in there, and I really like that about the kids. I like that about our coaches. I like that about our program. No one puts their hands up and gives up. They just battle, continue to battle until the final whistle goes at the end of a game or end of the season or whatever that is.
Yeah, and they're going to need to see that battle in their game come through in these next few days, playing against some very good teams. Taking on Edge School tomorrow in Edge Schools Arena in Calgary, Alberta at 5 p.m. Gordy, we're going to take a quick little transition and we'll be back to talk about U15s, U17s, and U18 male prep Buffaloes. All coming up next on the Buffaloes podcast. We'll get going again here.
All right. Just not have any fun.
Yeah. Welcome back to this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Myself, Graham, the G Show Foresight, joined by Gordie Tumilson. We've talked about, just the vibes around the academy right now, how the intensity has been ramping up. We talked about the U18 female prep Buffaloes and their big weekend of action, or I guess their big week of action that is already underway. But Gordie, we'll move into talking about the U17 Prep Buffaloes now, as they were in action against RHA. They were also in action against RHA on the 10th,
Right.
so yesterday. They didn't fare so well on Saturday's action, but yeah, take me through yesterday. What ended up happening for this Buffalo squad?
Well, I'm going to say that in both games we had really good goaltending, and we so one game was close. We didn't happen to win it. We didn't seem to have the energy for some reason. That was on Saturday, in Winnipeg at their building. Had the day off on Sunday and came back on Monday and played in Winnipeg again, and knocked them off. Knocked 6-3, I think. Matty Palmer played really well for us. Barrett Hayes played really well on Saturday. But we had way more energy for some reason on Monday than we. Maybe it was a day off at school or whatever it was. But our kids were way better, and it showed. And so, good on us to again come back after a defeat, and with that resiliency, show these guys from the big city that we mean business. Because I live in the big city, so I don't know what I'm saying there. But at the end of the day, we won one, lost one, had a good weekend.
Yeah, and given that this U17 team has, I mean, from Rick McConnell, he's preached about when I've talked to him, wanting to see consistency from the group. Obviously, not getting that on the scoreboard throughout the weekend because the score's all over the place, right, Gordy? Big 8-1 loss, then you come back and win 6-3 big time. So, what does that say about this group, especially given the pride that they take in being small town Pilot Mound? And sure, not every single player coming from a small town in Pilot Mound playing, or a small town in Manitoba playing on this team, but getting a chance to beat the club that's, I guess, known as the big club in the province in RHA in some ways must always feel great.
Well, yeah, I texted back and forth with Rick and Danny after the game and congratulated them on the win. And yeah, then of course they were feeling pretty good about, yeah, we like to beat those guys, particularly because they're kind of the Manitoba competitor, right? Keep in mind too that not only does our team have swings of up and down in terms of our play, but I'm going to guess that the coaches from the RHA guys weren't too impressed with their team on Monday. Hey, our guys played better, or their guys may play a little bit worse, and there you go. And they're that so things change. These are teenagers, and they haven't got the focus that they can put into game after game after game, and that's what we really work hard on. At least I know I do in terms of the goalies. Colin Fafra, our other goalkeeper coach, we work on consistency, a high level of consistency. How do you get there? Well, it's all in the head. It's all in the emotion. It's all in your desire to do good at your position, and so. When you get those games that they're really good, that's great. And then you get another, then you get a game with they don't play very well, and you wonder why. But it's whatever's going on in their lives. They weren't ready to play, and come on. And sometimes it only takes one guy in a line or a defense partner that's not quite right, or the goalkeeper. And all of a sudden, you're not doing good because a couple three guys aren't playing well. It's not the whole team, but it drags people down. So. It's important that we keep that all in mind when we're talking about team and individuals and consistency and all those things. It's an ever going on battle for coaches in all sports, in all levels, in all age groups, genders, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, no doubt about it, right, Gordy? I think that's what makes the amateur game even more fun. Anything under U20 or U22 even is that, these are still individuals developing and the emotions of the game, it impacts it so much more. And I've heard it so many times throughout the leagues I've covered this season, other than outside of the CSSHL, that the teams and the players who come ready to play and are willing to put in the work will usually come away with a victory. And seems like Pilot Mound came to the rink on Monday with that mindset and maybe took RHA Winnipeg by a bit of surprise, but great on Pilot Mountain nonetheless, as they'll be back in action coming up on Valentine's Day. Heading to Saskatchewan to play against the Indigenous Sports Academy Eagles. Gordie for the U18 Prep Buffaloes. For them, a bit of a disappointing weekend, but as we saw earlier in this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, had a chance to talk to three European players in Matthias, Michael, and John, and they're fired up for the games to come. Of course, looking to bounce back strong as a team as the season comes to an end. But yeah, take me through the past weekend for the U18 male prep buffs.
Sure. A pretty close game in the first one, and then the second one got away from us. We had a great goaltending effort from Aiden Trapp, a young guy from Tennessee. He had been ill the weekend before, had to be replaced after the first period in his game that weekend, and so it didn't work out for him very well. But he came back this weekend and he was loaded for bear, I guess. Maybe that's what you say in Tennessee. I don't know. But or it's bar in Tennessee, but the young guy came out and made I think he made 56 saves and 60 shots,
Wow.
and he was lights out. They
Yeah.
just to score a goal on him, he made them work to get goals on him. He got some help from his teammates, of course, even though there's a lot of shots, not all of them great shots. Some and but we kind of showed up poorly in the second game on the weekend and didn't support our goalkeeper, our end of the rink the way we normally do, and we got roasted pretty well. That's okay. We learn from those, and we don't like them. And I know it's got to be kind of interesting. You have the three European guys on. Two Czechs and a Slovak, and of course they don't like each other because they used to be Czechoslovakia rather than Czech Republic and Slovak Republic, and so there could. But anyway, they used to battle with each other, and they still do, I guess, internationally. But what a neat thing for these guys to come over here and play in that kind of competition. They don't see this competition overseas.
Yeah.
This is world class competition. That's why they come to us.
Yep.
I think one of the guys came over a little bit of English, but to help out with that. But beyond that, I think it's the competition and bringing your game up and see if you can raise your game. Well, that's what we're here for. Developing a hockey player, no matter where in the world he's from or she's from, they're going to get better because they've come to our place. Ice time every day, competition's unbelievable, and they get to showcase their skills win or lose, they showcase their individual skills 60 times a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and all three of these players, as we heard in this edition of the show, have aspirations to continue to further their hockey careers competitively. After they're done at Pilot Mountain, with them all being 07 born players, Gordie and Michael, of course, as we heard, bringing up the fact that it's been a big goal of his to play in the U18 prep division against this type of competition. But for this Buffalo squad, they'll be in action against Indigenous Sports Academy on Valentine's Day coming up, of course. But for them, they got 4 games left before the regular season ends. They'll be playing in the consolation side of the bracket. So some time to build up against, some good competition, maybe some confidence, but just looking to stay in these games, of course, playing great teams in NAX and in RHA Winnipeg as well after ISA.
Yeah, they've got some tough games, and that's okay. I gotta point out that almost every player on that U18 team, and almost every player in our academy, has had scout contact somewhere along the way. So schools and junior teams are connecting with our players based on what they like this what a scout sees. And it's interesting because you look at a player and say, well, I don't like that player or I like that player. And scout is totally reversed from some other place because he sees something totally different. So the neat part about the showcase part of this, the individual skill part of this, if the players remember this when they play and don't get down too much in terms of their individual effort, they're being watched by guys all the time, and somebody likes them. And all you need is one guy to like you, then all of a sudden, bingo, you're on the team. And these games, they shoot them back to Europe, scouts and agents and all kinds of people back there are watching. So And we've had, I think you well know this, we've had two players make their national teams. In the past, one in the Netherlands and one in Australia, because they came to Pilot Mountain and learned to play hockey the Canadian way. And that was their goal, and they attained their goal. So who knows? These guys might have the same kind of goal to play for the Czech or Slovak national teams down the road. So good on them to be fired up and be here with us and meet other people from other countries. Yeah, yada yada. So it's really a neat thing.
Yeah, and I think it's a topic for another day, but I'll just say there's some things that I think that other countries have actually done a bit better in terms of their development in the sport of hockey. But in terms of the best competition, we're seeing that in North America, and Canada is still, of course, a huge part of it. And a big reason why players choose to make a move to come down here from overseas. Gordie, we'll finish off with the U15s. They had 3 games during the weekend. Big bounce back win against the Notre Dame Hounds after losing quite handedly on the scoreboard to OHA Edmonton the game before. Not ending off their weekend the way they would have hoped, I'm sure. But yeah, the overall weekend for this young group that has shown a lot of positives this season.
Two of the 3 games, they were really, really good. Or and by the way, we're playing without Maddox Ramage, who's a huge part of our offense, defense, and penalty killing and power play. So at the end of the day, we did pretty well without Maddox. And I think the first game, I know that our little Japanese guy in goal, Yuki Kido, had a little bit of a rough start. Got down a little bit. He got replaced in the second period. Went back in the third. Things seemed to settle down, but by that time the thing was out of hand. Gavin Hildebrand held the fort the next day. The kids played really well in front of him, and we won that game with 3-1, I think. And then we lost the third game, but it was much closer. Yuki was back in the net. Get off, fall off the horse, get back on the horse. You got to go play, kiddo. And he did and played really well. So the third game was much closer, and our guys were all feeling pretty good about when they got on the bus to come home on Sunday. So good on our U15s to continue to battle after some things that don't go right for them. They just battle like crazy people. I love them.
Yeah, and of course, with a key piece out of the lineup, like you said, good on them for battling. And yeah, of course, still superstar Cole Landerville playing games for this team. But when a player like Maddox out of the lineup, it allows for opportunity in a way, looking at it that way in terms of having players have to play maybe a bigger role. Do you feel like this group is? Sad as it may be to not have Maddox in the lineup and this team way better with him, like you said, Gordie, how valuable his role is can't be understated on this year's team, but an opportunity for the rest of the roster to show what they can do in a bigger role, perhaps.
Oh, sure. And the kids thrive on this. Everybody wants to play in his spot. So they've got Cole with them, and they know Cole's pretty good at getting the puck to other people and getting a few assists and goals and whatnot. And so, yep, the other kids get a chance. They're given that opportunity, and you find out who you are and what you're good at, and do you have the whatever it is that you need to fill in a role like that, at least in part. You're not going to fill the role immediately, probably. Pretty tough to do that. He's got big shoes, literally big shoes. He's a big kid. But at the end of the day, big shoes to fill. You can't fill them completely, but you can sure make an effort to. And
Right.
that always shows good for next year's team. Who you're going to play for next year. Hopefully it's with us. And now you know what it's like to play on the big line, with the big boys, blah, blah, blah. So, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and the mindset should be just look to make the most of your opportunity if you have a chance to, and know that, yeah, no, not many players can be Maddox Ramage. He is one special talent, and so is Cole Landerville, who, with quite a few games left, Gordy, for him to be able to do this. Just taking a look at the schedule, about six there as or eight there as I do some quick math. He's at 95 points in 46 games played, so nearing it that point mark. We'll keep our eyes on that. Gordie, we'll talk more about the U15s, the U18 programs, as well as the U17 prep programs coming up next week in that edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Until next time, you take care, and can't wait to chat with you in 7 days as always.
Thanks, Grams. Always a pleasure to be here.
And Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast to talk about the teams in the academy, their upcoming games for this weekend. As we pull them up right now for the male U15s, they'll be off to Thunder Bay to face off against some AAA competition. Is going to be exciting for them. A chance to potentially move on and play in some even more meaningful hockey on Sunday, depending on what happens in the first 4 games. Their week gets going with a double whammy on Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll be in action to kick off their tournament. And then 2 games on Saturday as well. As you can see there, all games can be seen on LiveBarn if you have an account with that service. All other games that we're going to be showing here will be broadcasted on Flow Sports as the U17s go out to... Something really weird just happened with my computer software. I've been having a heck of a time lately with it. But yeah, I'm going to be playing a lone game on Valentine's Day coming up at 2 p.m. In Saskatchewan for the U17s against ISA. That game can be seen on Flow Sports. As for the female U18 preps, we're going to have their score in just a moment for you here. As they started off their busy week of action against Saha yesterday. Ended up playing today, or in the process of playing right now, as we take a look to see if there's a score reported. There isn't. Of course, they ended up losing yesterday 7-3. We will have the scores for all of these games, of course, on next week's edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Be sure to check out CSSHL, their website, as well as Pilot Mountain's social medias for updates on how this game ends up winding up today. But yeah, after today, 3 more games, and then Pilot Mountain gets to head home after their Alberta road trip. As for the male U18 prep Buffaloes, they'll have a chance to play against ISA and Rink Hockey Academy coming up this weekend, as they'll be in Saskatchewan to take on ISA, and then back in Pilot Mountain on Sunday to take on RHA Winnipeg. All games can be seen on Flow Sports. Almost a week ago now, it was National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Shout out to all the great female hockey players that have played for Pilot Mountain throughout the years and that are playing on this year's squad. And speaking of Pilot Mountain's female U18 squad, they had their senior night this past weekend as they honored all 7 seniors that are going to be graduating out of this program, as we see some lovely pictures right here. And there was also a video that was put up on Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy's YouTube channel that we're going to show to you right now. Take a look at this.
Hockey Academies. I would like to welcome everyone to our Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy Seniors Night. On behalf of PMHA, I would like to extend our hearty congratulations to each and every one of our seniors. We have watched you grow and develop into strong, confident young women, and we are so proud of you. PMHA's mission is to develop good humans, and we are very confident that each and every one of you will go out into the world and do great things. Remember, once a Buffalo, always a Buffalo. Go out there and show the world what you got. We know you can. Congratulations.
Welcome, fans and family. It's a special day to acknowledge an amazing group of young ladies.
Yeah, and as mentioned, not going to show you all of that video. It's available on Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy's social media pages, actually. That's where I found it off of their Twitter. I'm sure they will end up also posting it on their YouTube channel. But yeah, congratulations to all 7 of those seniors on, being honored, celebrated this past weekend for Pilot Mound on their seniors night. As some close games in there for Pilot Mound's U18 female prep program this past weekend. Of course, back in action this week as they continue to play against tough opponents on their Alberta road trip. Speaking of female players, recent guest on this show, Insider Reeves, comes away with Student Life of the Month for January 2025 awards, brought to you by Olympic Source for Sports. Matthew Palmer wins Athlete of the Month. EU17 prep goaltender Alex Lopez being recognized for his leadership for the U15 prep Buffaloes, winning the Leadership of the Month award. And what a name this is. Wolfgang Cook, Academic of the Month award for male U18 prep. That's one of the greatest names I've seen come across my eyes covering the sport, to be honest with you. And yeah, heck of a student in the classroom as well, as you can see there. Congratulations to Wolfgang and the rest of these Buffaloes on taking home Student Athlete of the Month awards. Important reminder as well, as we're still a month away from March, but it'll be here before we know it. If you got anyone that's in these age groups, U15 prep and female U18 prep, maybe send them down to Pilot Mountain. Let them get accustomed to it if they would be interested. And they could potentially end up joining the Herds. So be sure to check them out today. And be sure to register, as I'm pretty sure spots are still open at PilotMountainHockeyAcademy.com. And yeah, that's all the news we got to report for this episode. We're going to be hitting one last little commercial break here, and then we'll be back for the conclusion of this edition of the Buffaloes podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Stick around. And Matt Beardy, our editor here over at G Show Productions, also agreeing that Wolfgang Cook is the coldest name. Basically what I said, but worded a bit differently. We'll be back for the conclusion of this episode in just a moment, folks.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, The Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
And welcome back to this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, Buffaloes Nation, and hockey fans all around. This is going to conclude this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, a long one for Season 2, Episode 21. Wasn't without its hiccups, of course. I don't know what's happening with my system software lately. Been having problems with it ever since last week, and it continued here, but it was still a lot of fun on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Had to wait all the way until 6 p.m. instead of at 8 a.m. on this Wednesday to get it out, but felt like it was worth it in the end. 2 pre-recorded interviews, one with a trio of course, hockey players from Europe. Shout out to Matthias, John, and Michael for coming on and being the guests on this episode, as well as Gordie Tumilson, as he always joins us here on the show. Be sure to tune in for next week, as Gordie and some more guests will be tuning into that edition of the Buffaloes podcast. I'm liking quite a bit here, as you may be able to tell I'm going to end off this edition of the show by thanking our sponsors, Terraco Goaltenders, McKenna Fasteners and Tools, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia for supporting another edition of the Buffaloes podcast, as well as to you, the viewer, for tuning in to another edition of the Buffaloes podcast. If you did enjoy this one, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, leave a like, comment, whatever you may feel. Any type of interaction helps us here. And if you don't, well, your viewership is as valuable to us as well. But if you do subscribe, you end up getting to receive notifications, and you get to be more in the know of when episodes like this come out, which will, of course, be next Wednesday. We'll have the official time released on our website as well as on our social media pages leading up to episode 22, season 2 of the Buffaloes podcast. But until next Wednesday, folks, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, wishing you all a wonderful, safe, and warm weekend out there, and hoping you enjoy all the great hockey coming your way. It's been Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the peace out and waving so long on this Wednesday evening, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you again 7 days from now. Tyson Unruh, Juno Award winner, going to take us away with his March of the Buffaloes theme.